How about the weekend? This is that next thing we were talking about. We have issued a weather impact alert, and we don't typically do them this early. We call this a cautionary weather impact alert because signs were, even going back to Monday, that we could see a coastal low develop. There's the potential for some significant impacts to our area. And now, instead of just having low to moderate confidence that this thing was going to develop, confidence is high that there will be an area of low pressure that develops off the southeast coast. So the impacts for our area: heavier rain. This is Sunday into early Monday, gusty winds, and maybe some tidal issues. You need to stay weather aware. Look at the way these models kind of compare. You've got the Euro in red. You've got the GFS, the American model, in yellow. Both of them spin something up off the coast. You see those lines there. Looks like a couple of bullseyes. That red one, the center of it, is down to our south. The yellow is probably a little easier, maybe for the untrained eye. You can see the center of that kind of bullseye due east of Hatteras. This is Sunday, and as we go later Sunday and into Monday, those systems both develop the low and make them stronger. So that would be windy, and the tide's coming up.
And just, an untrained eye, someone looking at that graphic for the first time, you can keep that graphic up there, Leah. Someone may look at it in circular, nature of it all and be like, oh my gosh, are those like hurricanes or those kind of, I'm really actually interested in this. Why is the graph even shaped that way for us?
So what that's doing, it's showing lines of equal pressure. We can adjust this. We could show like super small incremental things, and you just see like basically what would look like a tire with all of them just two giant thick, areas of red and yellow. What we're doing there, we just pick that to show whether the low is deepening or strengthening, where you get more of those circles close together, or whether it's weakening and they're going away. You notice that little yellow kind of couple of circles or a few circles out there southeast of Bermuda. Okay, yeah. That is what the American model is doing with Jerry. Okay, so you compare that. Now you're looking at these lows, that they have with the Euro and the GFS close to the coast. You're thinking, my goodness, what's happening here? Well, that is actually just a nor'easter. But remember, nor'easters historically have done a number on us here in Hampton Roads. I can jump back up on camera because I do want to let you know. Basically, you can have a coastal system that comes in. It brings with it sometimes more violent winds. You get those hurricane or strong tropical storm force winds, and that can be a huge problem in and of itself. Tidal surge, all of that. With nor'easters, what you're looking at is a slower moving system. The winds typically aren't going to be as strong. Sometimes they can get up to tropical storm force, but with the nor'easters, they're just powerful areas of low pressure that are slow movers. That persistent northeast wind over time builds up our water levels in the lower part of the Chesapeake. And if it's moving along slowly and the winds are just right, that can create issues even like sound side flooding down across North Carolina, Back Bay. Talk about Sandbridge, some of the areas down along the sound side of the Outer Banks. So we're going to be watching all of this over the weekend as that moves along. Going back to the models, you can see it kind of drifts to the north a little bit, and then eventually you're going to see they kind of kick back over to the east. Here's the one thing I want you to know, though. Even though we have this and we are concerned, and we will be, confidence is growing that we have something, it's all going to come down to exactly where that storm system is located. If it's closer to the coast, we'll have one set of impacts. If it's weaker or farther offshore, be totally different. So the main thing is stay updated, keep checking back. We will, of course, keep you updated on that. You can see how this model, again, brings that moisture, that heavy rain into eastern North Carolina and Virginia. Did you have a question, Eugene?
I was appreciative of you breaking that down, by the way, Craig. I didn't want to get too deep in the weeds there, but I see those graphs all the time. I know kind of what they look like, but I remember the questions I had when I first saw them.
Sure.
And for you to break that in, if somebody just associates circular patterns on a forecast is that a hurricane? What kind of storm is that? So being able to distinguish that is really good. So,
it's really funny when you get into lines of pressure. You can have like these lines where on the same map, you could have low pressure and high pressure, and you don't know which is which unless you're trained and you know what you're looking for in there. So I know it can be a little misleading, but as long as you have a trusted source, and hopefully
like you,
News Now is your trusted source, but as long as you have somebody that you trust to help break it down, those maps, remember, they're helping us convey what is likely to happen to you. So that's what we're doing. Wanted to quickly mention the tropics if we have time. Do you guys have time to do that?
Yeah, just a few moments here.
Yeah, let's take a look here. Here we are. We still have a lot of October left, obviously about 3 full weeks. And then we have November before the end of the hurricane season. Jerry is our newest named system. It is a tropical storm at this point. And as we look across the Atlantic basin, the Gulf is pretty quiet. There's some rain down in the southern part of the Gulf, down in the Bay of Campeche. Caribbean quiet right now, and then looking back out, there's Jerry. I always think of Seinfeld and Newman. Hello, Jerry. So there's Jerry out there moving along. Right now, maximum winds at 50, gusting to 65. Movement is west-northwest at 23, and it is forecast to take a path that we've seen a lot this year, kind of recurving to the north and staying far
I like this
off
path.
the
I mean, really, we've been blessed for the most part. For the most part, we've seen a lot of these storm systems that have formed. Craig, you guys have shown it's almost every time they've just stayed out in the water. And
yeah, they've been fish storms.
Yeah,
largely. Now, Bermuda, they're going to have to pay close
yeah,
attention.
of course.
But, they handle this. And right now, even Jerry is forecast to stay to the northeast. Okay. I will mention the northern Leeward Islands. If you are there or if you have friends, maybe family that are vacationing in the Virgin Islands, they're under tropical storm watch. So we want folks to know there could be some impacts to the Lesser Antilles, the Leeward Islands. We will be watching all of that and keeping folks updated. There's the spaghetti plots. You can see how the models are all in pretty good agreement. There's 1 or 2 outliers a little farther west, but everything largely taking that turn. Over in the southern part of the Gulf, I mentioned just a slight chance, only about 10% the chances of any development, but that's going to be a rainmaker for Mexico. And then over in the eastern Pacific, we got to mention, there's Priscilla. You've got Priscilla moving up towards the Baja. Right now, a hurricane. It should weaken and bring some rain to that part of the area and maybe even the extreme southwest U.S. We'll see. But aside from that, things not looking too bad. Another area could develop over the next week, chances around 70%. But that, again, kind of paralleling the Mexican coastline there off in the eastern Pacific. So plenty to watch across the region, Eugene. I know I've been talking for a while here. Do you guys have any questions?
No, man. I think for us, again, I'm just happy that we have not. I mean, outside of what we saw hit, North Carolina, the shoreline there, and obviously the impact on Buxton with the Melda, those kind of things, we've really just kind of been able to keep it easy for the most part. Yeah. So I'm hopeful that can continue as we're still not out of the woods yet with hurricane season, but right now it seemed like we've been okay.
I will say, as far as the tropics go, we're getting into the time of year for Hampton Roads in the mid-Atlantic region where we start getting more and more active storm systems coming through. Every time a cold front comes through, that protects us against systems like Jerry, that if they try to come in from the east, they're going to get stood up and pushed back out. But that being said, coming back to our potential coastal low or nor'easter this weekend, Eugene, that could lead to some significant beach erosion and other homes down along the Outer Banks. We lost 9 of them last week with Humberto and Imelda. We could lose more depending on what's getting close to going in this upcoming weekend with this coastal low. So we just have to watch what happens. We're by no means out of the woods with that tenuous situation down there. But as far as the tropics go, feel a little bit better. We just need to watch this coastal low this weekend.
Yeah, and that coastal erosion, those beach erosion situations there, you just mentioned it, what we've been watching there in Buxton. And that conversation is only getting even stronger and stronger about what they can do after those homes fell through. So I know everyone's going to be watching that here through the next several weeks as well. And so, again, we always want to make sure that we mention that if you're really interested and want to know about anything that has to do with the tropics, we do have the Hurricane Hub Live. That's 8 p.m. every single day, Monday to Monday, here on 13 News Now Plus, and our team of meteorologists. You guys kind of take turns. Tim mostly in the evening.
He's fantastic.
He's great.
Tim has such a passion for the tropics. Super deep dive. Everything you could want to know about the tropics. That's Monday through Friday.
And then 9
Hunter,
a.m.
Evan, Taylor, they cover you on the weekends. Hurricane Hub Live at 8. Then the Weather Desk.
The Weather Desk at 9 a.m. with that man right there, mostly there, Craig Moeller. again, right here on 13 News Now Plus, also going in deep dives, but also including more of the things that are happening, your top weather headlines, pretty much everywhere that you're covering. So not just the tropics, but anything that's going on there. So he has you covered.
Space and climate weather too. Yeah, we cover it all.
Yeah.
So thank you, Eugene. Appreciate that.
Always, man. We appreciate you for coming in and always breaking down what's going on with our forecast. So thank you, Craig.